Hi, everybody. I'm Mr. H, and I'm here to read to you a story, or at least the first part of a story. It's a book. It's called 910, a September 11 story. It's by Nora Raleigh Baskin, and it's a great book. In fact, it's such a great book that it's been chosen as an OBOB book for this year's Battle of the Books for grades 3 through 5. And so I'm going to be reading it to you in pieces, and this is the very beginning of it. But before we get started with the book, I wanted to give you a little bit more background. And so here you can see on this slide, this book has won a whole bunch of awards, There's a lot of people that think this is a really fabulous book, and I'm one of them. So before I get started with the actual book, I want to share with you something from the website that gives you a little bit of background. You know that sometimes you pick up a book and you look at the blurb on the back of the book to try to get to know what it is that you're going to be reading about. Well, right here, this is what's on the author's website about this book. So I'll read this part to you, and then we'll get started with the prologue. It's 2 days before the terrorist attacks of 9/11. In Chicago's O'Hare Airport, the paths of 4 middle schoolers cross briefly. They have no idea of what's ahead for them and the whole country. They return to their homes, New York City, Southern California, Ohio, and small-town Pennsylvania. For 2 days, they deal with ordinary ups and downs at school and home. In some ways, the 4 are different from each other: Jewish, Muslim, Christian, girl, boy, black, white. Yet in other ways, they are alike. The tragic events of that September affect them all deeply and, in the end, bring them together in a dramatic and moving conclusion. So now I'm going to start by reading the first 2 pages. This is what we would call the prologue. It's the little bit written by the author before the story really begins. I want to share with you the dedication page that this book is dedicated. It's dedicated to you out there probably listening. It's for the children, our future. And here's the prologue. Everyone will mention the same thing, and if they don't, when you ask them, they will remember. It was a perfect day. More than 8 million people lived in New York City that year, so of course, not everyone's day started perfectly. There was excitement and pain, anxiety and boredom, love and loneliness, anger and joy. But everyone who looked up that morning must have marveled, whether noting it out loud or not. What a perfect day. The sky was robin's egg blue. There were 1 or 2 fluffy, almost decorative clouds. It was late summer warm, so the air was still and clear, not the least bit humid. Warm the exact way you would set the temperature of the earth if you could. Clear with just enough breeze so you knew you were outside, breathing fresh air. People would remember that day with all sorts of adjectives: serene, lovely, cheerful, invigorating, peaceful, quiet, astounding, crystalline, blue. Perfect. Until 8:46 a.m., when the first plane struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center, and nothing would ever be the same again. But that has not happened yet. And that's it for the prologue, and I'll be reading to you again in part 2 of our series on this fabulous book, 910, a September 11 story by Nora Raleigh Baskin.